In this video, we're going to build fully functional software as a service project with Laravel 11, React, Tailwind CSS, and Stripe online payments. On registration, user gets 10 credits by default. There are two features implemented in the project. The first one is to calculate sum of two numbers, which requires 1 credit, and the second feature is to calculate the difference of two numbers, which requires 3 credits. These are simplest possible features, which I implemented for simplicity. My main focus in this project is to build software as a service website. In reality, these features might be as complex as generating a script of the uploaded audio file, restoring broken images using AI, or generating 3D avatars based on uploaded portrait images. The number of credits required for a specific feature is also customizable. I have also defined 3 packages to purchase credits. These are coming from the database, so the number of credits inside package or the price of package is also customizable. Once the user doesn't have enough credits to use a specific feature, they can choose the package they want, pay using Stripe online payments, after which the blocked feature will become activated again and user will be able to use it. On dashboard, you're going to see all your used features. You're going to see the feature name, how many credits you spent on that feature, at what time you did that, and additional information. That might be the input you gave to that specific feature, output the feature generated, and any other information you want to put right here. The link of the project source code will be in the video description. I'm super excited to hear your opinion on this project, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Preparing, building, and editing such type of projects requires a lot of time and energy. 70% of the channel viewers are not even subscribed to the channel. If the project idea excites you, the single best thing what you can do right now is to hit the subscribe button and enable notifications. Additionally, liking the video and providing a positive comment will help the channel a lot to grow. Alright, no further ado, let's start building this awesome project. Before we start working on the project, let's just make sure that we have all the necessary programs installed. If I don't develop my projects with Docker, I generally use XAMPP. So if you don't have PHP command globally available in your terminal, I recommend to download and install XAMPP. If you already have PHP available, you don't need to do anything. So we're going to need Composer, which is the PHP package manager. We're going to need Node.js as well, because we're going to create the React.js application as well. As a choice of the IDE editor, I'm going to use Visual Studio Code for this particular tutorial. I use generally PHP Storm or Visual Studio Code. For PHP, I prefer to use PHP Storm. However, for YouTube and for such type of tutorials, I'm trying to use more Visual Studio Code because I can understand that most of you doesn't have that, cannot afford PHP Storm's paid license. That's why I try marking my working setup to be as close to your working setup as possible. That's why I'm going to use VS Code and with a couple of extensions. I have also a dedicated video how to set up VS Code for Laravel development. You can check it out on my YouTube channel. Okay, and I'm going to use Git Bash. If you don't have Git Bash, it comes with a Git, just download and have it. I recommend to use Git Bash because that's my preferred terminal on Windows. On Mac or on Linux, you can use your preferred terminal. That's absolutely fine. Git Bash is not something like a must-have. Okay, now I'm going to open Git Bash and I'm going to create a Laravel project by executing Composer create-project Laravel/Laravel, and here I'm going to provide the local folder name Laravel 11-React-SaaS, and I'm going to hit the enter, which is going to download the Laravel project and set it up for us. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to build software as a service project with Laravel and React. However, if you want to deploy this specific project on production environment and assign custom domain to it, I do have separate dedicated videos on specifically deployment. My personal choice of hosting provider is Hostinger, which is very kindly sponsoring this video. Let's see how Laravel installation goes. Okay, it is downloading packages and progressing. I have been personally using Hostinger for past 3 years and I have been extremely happy with their services. They provide shared hosting, VPS hosting, cloud hosting, and even email hosting. Their prices are very affordable and servers are very fast. Let's check Laravel installation progress. Okay, it finished installation and now we're gonna open it using VS Code. Now, I'm going to bring up the terminal and collapse the left side, and I'm going to install Laravel Breeze. Composer require Laravel/breeze --dev. Once Breeze is installed, we're going to execute php artisan breeze :install. It's going to ask us which stack we would like to install, and I'm going to go with React. Then it's going to ask us which additional features we want to include, and I'm going to choose dark mode. And the final question is which testing framework we prefer, and I'm going to leave this default because I'm not going to write tests in this project. I'm going to hit the enter, and it's going to require additional packages like inertia related packages, additional React related packages, Ziggy, and it's going to set up the React with inertia project for us. Hostingers shared hosting services start at $2.99 per month. During holidays, this price goes even lower. And that price includes free domain, free unlimited number of SSL certificates, unlimited number of databases, Git support, SSH access, backups, and even more. I recommend to check their website, explore your desired service, check all the features because there are tons of features actually included in this price. And if you decide to grab the hosting, during checkout, use the coupon code ZURATC, which will give you extra 10% off on already discounted price. All the links will be in the video description. And I want to say big thanks to Hostinger for supporting this channel so far and sponsoring this video. The command also executed npm install and built also React assets, and we can start the artisan server already by executing php artisan serve, and I'm going to open second terminal and I'm going to execute npm run dev to have the Vite server up and running for development purposes. Now let's open the browser and I'm going to type localhost port 8000, and we're going to see Laravel 11's default welcome page. This is awesome. Now let me enable dark mode. For this, I'm going to open Tailwind config.js, and I'm going to add right here dark mode property to be based on class. And I'm going to also open up.blade.php, which is the main layout file, and I'm going to add right here class to be dark. As soon as I save this and open in the browser, we're going to see that Laravel 11's welcome page is already in the dark mode. All the migrations are also properly applied, so if I try to register right now, I was able to successfully register and I'm also authenticated. Now let's generate models and migrations. PHP artisan make model package is the first model with migration. I'm going to also generate transaction model. Then we're going to generate feature model, and I'm going to also generate used feature model. Okay, we have 4 models and 4 migration files. Let's close this, and I'm going to go inside database migrations, and I'm going to open all 4 migration files, and I'm going to work on each of them one after another. Okay, let's write the migrations, and in the packages table, we're going to need the name of the package, like basic, silver, gold, and so on. We're going to also need the price for each package and the number of credits inside each package. Then let's go into transactions. Here we need the status of the transaction. So whenever we create the transaction and whenever we redirect user to the Stripe checkout page, the transaction status will be pending. Then whenever the payment is completed, the transaction status is changed into done or paid. And then we're gonna also increase the number of remaining credits for the user. Okay, so we will need the status on transaction. We're going to need also the price for each transaction. We need how many credits that transaction included, the session ID, and this is going to be the Stripe checkout session ID. We're going to need the user ID, who made that transaction, and we need package ID, and I think that's it. Yeah, we don't need anything else. Then we are going to create the features table. Here we need the image. We need route name. That's going to be the actual route name. Okay, we're going to need the name, description, required credits, and the active flag, whether this feature is active or not. We can have multiple features, but we can easily deactivate them from the database, and they will not be just displayed on the website, and users will not be able to use that specific features also. Then we go into used features, and here we will need credits, we will need feature ID, we will need user ID, we will need data, which is going to be additional information when the user used a specific feature, what additional information the user passed to that feature. Okay. So this is great. So we created 4 tables for migration files. Let me close all of them, and I'm going to open now models. Like I'm going to open package PHP. I'm going to open transaction PHP. I'm going to open feature.php, and I'm going to open used feature.php. Let's start with the package PHP, and we're going to first provide elements inside the fillable. So we're going to need name, price, and credits inside the fillable. Then let's go in transactions, and here we need fillable as well, providing status, price, credits, session ID, user ID, package ID, and I think that's it. And I'm going to also define relation from transaction to user. And the transaction belongs to user. We're going to need that relation. Then let's go into feature, and here we need image, route name, we need name as well, we need description, required credits, and active as well. Okay, and in the used features, we need a couple of more information, except that, like, other than fillable, we need feature ID, user ID, credits. We also need the casts. Basically, we have the data property in the used features, which is a JSON-B. And we're gonna convert that into an array, basically, or whenever there's an array, we're gonna save this as a JSON in the database. Because we are using SQLite, we need that cast. So we're gonna return that the data is basically an array. This is additional, like a new feature in Laravel 11. Previously, casts in Laravel 10 was an array, but now in Laravel 11, we can have casts as a function. Okay, then down below we need the relation from the used features to user, where the used feature belongs to user, and down below in the same way we need the relation to feature itself. Now we have all the modules and migrations ready. I'm going to close everything, and I'm going to open database seeder. And right here I'm going to update the existing user factory. Let me actually delete everything and rewrite. Okay, first let's create the user, and we're going to provide name, email, and encrypted password to the user. Then we're going to create several features. So this is a dummy image which I actually grabbed from the Google. This is just a plus image. So I can click right here. It actually opens into another tab. Let me open this very quickly right here. This is a plus icon. Okay, so because we're going to implement very dummy features like just to calculate the sum of 2 numbers and difference of 2 numbers, we're going to just have an image for the feature. Okay, then we're going to need the root name. Okay, and the root name in this case is feature1.index. Why I use this feature1 right here and the name used as a calculate sum, for example, because I don't want to stick just with my features. My features are dummy features, as I mentioned. They are called calculate sum and calculate difference, but I also use the names like feature1 because those are very generic features. And the whole idea of this project is that you can implement your own additional features. You can take this project, remove those dummy features, implement your own features, and you're going to have something awesome. Okay, so sometimes I use calculate sum, sometimes feature1, so don't get confused with that. Okay, so then we, in the description, we have calculate sum of 2 numbers. We have number of required credits for this feature1 basically, and we have the active as well. So then down below, I'm going to just paste this entire feature2, which has the road name feature2, the image is for the minus, calculate difference, the description. This requires 3 credits. Okay, feature1 requires 1 credit, this requires 3 credit, and we have the active true. So, and down below, we're going to define packages as well. Each package will have a name, will have price, and will have number of credits. And I'm going to just duplicate these and have silver with price 20, credits 100, and duplicate this once again. And we're going to have name golden, price 50, and credits 500. And just like this, we have this the database seeder ready. We just need to import the package, app models package, and the feature, because we are using this right here. Okay, we added new column in the users, and this is called available credits. We added migration for this. Whenever the new user is created, we want the available credits to be set as 10 for every new user. So we're giving every user 10 credits upon registration. Okay, how we're going to do this? I'm going to create user observer for this. Let me open the terminal, and I'm going to execute PHP artisan make observer user observer. Let's hit the enter. It created that user observer. We're going to open this. It doesn't open. User observer, and we are going to add right here public function creating, okay, which accepts instance of the user, and we can import that user app models user inside this class. And what we need to do is just to set user available credits equals 10. So whenever the new user is created, we're going to set these available credits to 10. And we just need to now use that user observer. And slightly new method of using the observers on models is using PHP attributes. So here we're going to use attribute called observed by. Oops, what just happened? Observed by. This one, and we're going to provide the class name which should observe the current model. So in our case, this is going to be user observer. Okay, through this line, I'm telling Laravel that this class is observed by user observer. So whenever the new instance is created for this user, it's going to call this creating function, pass that user, and the 10 will be set. Now what we need to do is just bring up the terminal again and execute PHP artisan migrate. So if I execute migrate, it's going to apply new migrations. The new migrations are those 4 migrations we just created, but we also changed something in the user migration, and plus we want to execute seed data as well. So I'm just gonna execute PHP artisan migrate fresh -- seed. It's going to drop everything, reapply everything, and it's going to seed the data as well. Now I want to check what is the data inside the database. So I'm going to access the database through Tinker. PHP artisan Tinker. Okay, let's get the first user. User first, and this is the first user. It has all that information, what we provided in the database seeder, and it also has this available credits 10. Awesome. Now let's execute app models feature and get all features here, and we see 2 features basically with all the information. And you can assume that in the same way credits packages are also created. So I'm just going to just select them as well, but we have the database structure ready, and we also have the seed data ready. Now let's bring up new terminal. So this terminal is actually for Tinker, this is for Vite, this is for Artisan. I'm going to open one more terminal. This is going to be my Artisan terminal, and I'm going to create new controller, feature 1 controller. PHP artisan make controller feature 1 controller, and in the same way let's just create feature 2 controller as well. Okay, awesome. Let me close everything, and now I'm going to open feature 1 controller, and I'm going to work right here. First of all, I'm going to define public feature class instance, basically property, which will be nullable. And by default, I'm going to assign this null. Okay. I'm going to define also constructor I'm going to define index function, and I'm going to define calculate function, and I'm going to explain why I have those functions before I write anything, okay? So inside the constructor, I'm going to select the feature based on the root name, and I'm going to save this in this public feature property, okay? Inside the index, I'm going to render the feature page, and inside calculate, I'm going to handle the post submission of the feature. I'm going to do all the operations that is necessary for that specific feature, and I'm going to return the result, render the result, or redirect back to the index with the result. Okay, and this controller is kind of universal controller, feature one controller. You can create similar controllers for your specific features, whether this is going to be speech to text or image restoration or image generation, whatever. Okay, you will render the form, for example, upload image file, then you are going to handle this inside the calculate. You can call this method whatever you want, and then you will redirect user back to index with the actual result of the calculation. Okay, this is awesome. Now inside constructor, let's select this feature based on the root name, where the root name equals feature1.index. Okay, if you remember in the database header, this is the root name what we gave to the feature one. I'm going to also select if the feature is active. If the feature is not active, simply I want to show 404. So if for some reason I decided to deactivate the feature, I don't want the users to use that specific feature, I will change its active status and nobody will be able to use that. Okay, once I have the feature selected, then let's move into index. Here I'm gonna render the inertia page. Okay, however, I am going to pass the feature right here. So first of all, just pay attention that this feature one index doesn't exist. Okay, so we're going to create that function and not a function. It's going to be a React.js component. Okay, and we're going to pass the feature, which is going to be a feature resource. This is another thing. The feature resource is another file that doesn't exist. Okay, and we're going to pass to that feature resource this feature. We're going to create that feature resource in a moment. Okay, and I'm going to pass additional property, which is going to be the answer. Okay, whenever we calculate the answer from this calculate function, we're going to put this in the session, redirect user back to the index, and we're going to get that from the session and pass it as an answer variable inside this feature one index. Now we're going to do two things. First, we're going to create this feature resource. So I'm going to basically bring up the terminal and execute PHP artisan make resource feature resource. Let's hit the enter. Feature resource was created. Let's open that, and I'm going to change this, return an array, and I'm going to define the properties right here. We're going to return ID, we're going to return image, root name, name, description, required credits, and active. Okay, so why do I need this resource? You probably have a question. I'm returning almost every property except created at and updated at. Generally, the inertia type of applications, where you use React or Vue, it doesn't matter. The information what you pass to that React component, in this case feature, will be visible inside the browser. So if you pass sensitive information as a variable to that feature one index, this is no good. Okay, that information can be exposed to anybody else basically. So we want always to give the models to the resources and return that resource to the give that resource to the component. Okay, so this is a security measurement, and it's a very recommended thing actually to do. So we now have this feature resource, and what we need to do, we obviously need to import the feature resource, but let me actually continue, and then I will import that. Okay. Then I'm gonna, inside calculate, I'm gonna get the user, okay, and I'm gonna do the following check. If the user's available credits is less than the the number of credits the feature requires, it means that user doesn't have enough credits. So we simply go back. We don't proceed with the calculate. So if it's enough, then we start validation of the data. So we're going to validate the number one. Basically, we're going to calculate sum of two numbers, right? So we're going to have number one and number two. And we're going to get those two numbers. I'm going to create separate variables out of that and cast them into float variables. And then I'm going to calculate the sum of those numbers. But I'm going to also save in the database that user used the feature. Okay. I'm going to also decrease the number of credits on the user. So on the user, I'm going to call these decrease credits, and I'm going to pass this feature required credits. So if the feature requires 1 credit, we're going to decrease the user's available credits with 1. If the feature requires 3 credits, we're going to decrease it by 3. Okay, once we do this, then we're going to save used feature. We're going to pass the feature ID, we're going to pass the user ID, we're going to pass the credits, and we're going to pass additional data. So this user used that feature, which cost that amount of credits, and this is the additional information, which contains number 1 and number 2. Again, this is kind of something universal, which I wanted to create for almost all kind of features. So even if you do like image conversion or like speech to text, whatever, you have the feature ID, user ID, number of credits, and inside this data, you can put any additional information you want. You can put like image 1, image 2, and whatever. Okay. Once we save that used feature, then we simply go to root feature1.index. We redirect user back to the index page, and we're going to pass also the answer. The answer will be number 1 plus number 2. And this is going to be it. Okay, so I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to include that feature resource. I'm going to include the models feature, and I think we need the used feature as well. Okay, now we have this feature one controller ready. I can close that and I'm going to open. Actually, I need to do one additional thing in the feature resource. I am going to create right here public static wrap equals false. So I'm disabling wrap for this feature resource. Okay, I'm going to close this. Now let's open web.php and let me scroll down below, and I'm going to define the rules for the feature one. Now let's create feature one component, feature one index component. I'm going to go into resources, JS, pages, and inside pages, I'm going to create new file called feature one / index. That should be uppercase I index.js6. Let's hit the enter. So here we have this index.js6, and I'm going to also create one component under component section. So that components basically was added by Laravel Breeze. So here we have a couple of ready components which we are going to use, but I'm going to add one more component, and this is going to be feature.js6 component. So I'm going to create one reusable feature.js6 component, which I'm going to use in feature one component and feature two component as well. And you can use in any other components you are going to add, in any other feature components you are going to add. So that's going to be a generic feature component, which will display the feature name, feature description, number of credits required for the specific feature. And this will be also responsible to lock that specific feature if the user has a less number of credits than the feature requires. Okay, so this is good. So I'm going to collapse the left side and let's implement this feature component. Let's define now component, export default function feature, and I'm going to also import the necessary classes. Like we're going to use authenticated layout, which is the main layout what we see when we access the dashboard page. Right now I'm not authenticated, but when you authenticate, you see the dashboard with the navbar. This is the authenticated layout, okay? And that authenticated layout also is used in dashboard.js6, and we're going to use it in the same way. Then I'm going to import a couple of classes components from inertia.js/react package. So we're going to need the head, link, and use page, and I'm going to explain what each does whenever I'm going to use them. Okay, Inside feature, we're going to get these properties like feature, answer, and we're going to get additional children. Then I'm going to use page from this Inertia.js React, and that gives me the page object which has props. Okay, and from that page props, I'm going to get the auth. That auth contains the user inside. Okay, so I can access auth.user, and the user has available credits. And I will get this available credits inside on its own separate variable. But how do I know that this page props has auth? I'm going to open handle Inertia.js requests middleware, which comes with this Inertia.js basically. And right here, if we scroll down below inside share function, which the share function basically are those variables. It returns an associative array where keys are those variables which are shared across all pages of Inertia.js, React or Vue, doesn't matter. So in this case, we are returning auth, so that auth property will be available on every React component page. Okay, and once we are going to have that feature one component rendered right here, which is going to be associated to road. This is going to be rendered from the controller, feature one controller. The auth will be available in every component. Basically, it doesn't matter. You can access this auth in the index.js, feature one index.js, or feature JSX. Yeah, the auth will be always there. And through that, we get this the available credits. Okay, let's move on, and I'm going to return the JSX from here. I'm going to use this authenticated layout, pass the user and header to this authenticated layout, similar to how it is done in dashboard. Inside header, I'm going to pass this h2, and I'm going to provide the feature name as a title. Okay, the feature is accepted right here. Then if I scroll down below, I'm going to use this head, and that head basically is the HTML head tag. Okay, and the title is the HTML title tag. And this comes from, again, Inertia.js React, and it's going to handle this using the title properly in the head section. Okay, the title in this case is feature one. You can call this feature.name if you want. Then down below, I'm going to create a couple of divs with the Tailwind.css classes to properly set up the layout, card type of layout. And we're going to also output the answer right here at the top of the form. So if the answer is not null, and then in this case, we're going to render this div, okay, which will have like a green background, text white, and inside there, I'm going to output result of calculation is the answer. That answer is received right here, okay. Then we're going to proceed. We're going to create one additional div. And inside there, I'm going to check if available credits, that available credits are the user's available credits. Okay. If the available credits is not null, and if the feature requires more credits than the user has remaining, we are going to display, we're going to lock the specific feature. So here we have the div with position absolute left 0, top 0, right 0, bottom 0. So basically that div is stretched on that div right here, and it's going to lock every interaction to the parent div. So that div inside there will have an SVG icon, and that SVG icon is the lock SVG icon. You can find this icon if you go into hero icons, click the very first link, then type lock right here, and this is the icon what I used here. So the same SVG icon. Then down below, we're going to have a div. You don't have enough credits for this feature, go, and then I'm going to put a link right here with the text, go buy more credits. Okay, and the link right now will have href just slash, but we're going to replace this with the page URL, page road on which we can buy more credits. Okay, down below, we're going to have additional div, and we're going to have feature description. We're going to have the information, how many credits the feature requires. And at the very bottom, we're going to render all the children. Okay, so this feature is a generic feature component, which will be used right now in this index.js6. So in this index.js6, let's define this function index. I'm going to import every component I need. So I will need this input error from components. Again, this component comes from Laravel Breeze. I will need input label, text input, primary button. Use form is something which is imported from Inertia.js React, and I'm going to explain what this use form does. That's the correct way how you can interact with the form data in Inertia. So, and I'm going to also import that feature component, what we just described. Okay, then let's accept feature and answer, and this feature and answer are the properties we are passing from feature1 controller from here. Okay, so we get this feature and answer, and then I'm going to declare a form using use form, and this use form returns an object, and that I'm going to destructure that object and take out data from there. Set data method. I'm going to get the post method, and using this we're going to send the data to the server. We're going to have reset function, we're going to have errors and processing flag as well. And I'm going to pass you inside this use form number 1 and number 2 as an initial data for this use form. Whatever we're going to pass right here, it will be accepted inside this data, and then we can use this data to display that number 1 and number 2 if we need. Down below, I'm going to declare the submit function. We accept an event, call event prevent default, and then I'm going to execute post method. Okay, I'm going to pass the root name. I'm going to use this root function, which basically is the function available in every component. So I'm going to use that function, and I'm going to pass feature1 calculate as a root name. This post accepts second argument, which is an object, and inside there I'm going to pass on success callback. And on success, I'm going to call reset function. Okay. Down below, I'm going to return JS6. I'm going to use that feature component which we just described, and I'm going to pass this feature and answer to this feature component. Inside there, I'm going to declare the form. I'm going to add the submit handler there. I'm going to define div. Inside there, I'm going to have this input label for number 1, and I'm going to have text input with ID, type, name, value, class name, and on change, we're going to listen on change and get the event, and I'm going to call this set data, and this set data accepts 2 arguments. The first is the field I want to update, and the second is the value, event target value. And the initial value for this input will be data.number1. And again, this data will contain whatever we pass right here. Okay, awesome. Then I'm going to declare input error. We're going to pass the message to this input error, which will be errors.number1. If there is some sort of validation errors, they will be received right here inside these errors. Okay, good. And we're going to provide the class name as well. So down below, we're going to have very similar div to this number 1. It will have this input label, text input with all these same properties what the number 1 has, and the input error as well. And down below, we're going to have additional div, which will be for the button. Inside there, I'm going to put the primary button, and I'm going to give it text calculate, and I'm going to disable the button if the form is in processing state. Okay, and I save this, and I think there is nothing we need to do at the moment inside here. So I think we can open in the browser. I'm gonna log in with my email and password, and we're gonna try to have a look. Actually, before I access the URL, let me open authenticated layout. I'm gonna find this dashboard. I'm going to duplicate these 2 times, and here we're going to have route name feature1.index. The feature name will be feature1, and here we're going to have feature2 index with feature2 text. And we need something similar for the mobile version as well. So I'm going to scroll down below. Here we have this dashboard. I'm going to duplicate these 2 more times. Feature1 index, feature1, and this is going to be feature 2 index feature 2. Let me save this, and now we have this feature 1 and feature 2. I'm going to click on this feature 1. It renders the page, and we see the title is calculate sum of two numbers is the description, and we see it requires 1 credits. If I go on feature 2, it doesn't work, probably because we have not created this feature 2 component. So even though we have the feature 2 controller, and the feature 2 controller has some content inside there, let's open feature 2 controller. We are returning this feature 2 index. That view doesn't exist, and because the inertia was not able to return the correct response, it doesn't navigate us to the feature 2. I think we can easily duplicate now feature 1. I'm gonna come to feature 1, duplicate, paste this inside pages. This is feature 1 copy, and I'm gonna rename this into feature 2. And let's open this feature 2 index, and I'm gonna search for feature 1 here. And I think the only usage is whenever we submit the form. Again, at the moment, feature 1 and feature 2 pages are very, very similar to each other. But I just demonstrated how you can have multiple features. And obviously, if you have different features like, again, speech to text or image restoration, you can have absolutely different content, HTML content or functionality inside each own component, feature component. Okay, so right now we have this feature 2 defined already, and I'm going to click this feature 2. And yeah, we are redirected. Calculate difference of two numbers, and requires 3 credits. Okay, this is awesome. And before I test the functionality, I'm going to put also in the navbar the number of credits the user has. Let's open authenticated layout again, scroll down below and find that drop down section right here. And above the drop down div, I'm going to add this span with some Tailwind.css classes, and I'm going to put an image right here, which will be coin image. I'm going to also show this image to you, but that's actually a coin image which you can easily get from Google. Any coin image basically will work. This is just my example. Okay, and then next to the image, we're going to have the number of available credits on the user. Okay, so we have that user accessed in this authenticated layout. And just like this, we can print how many credits the user has. Then down below, I'm going to create a link and give it some Tailwind.css classes and give it text, get more. Okay, the user has 10 credits. To get more, just click right here. At the moment, the href is just an empty, the slash, but later we're going to implement that to go to the purchase credits page. So if I save this and reload right now, I see 10 credits and get more right here. I'm going to add right here gap 3 to create more gap between these two elements. And I'm going to also put right here the image for coin. Here is the image which I added in public image folder. And once I save that in the browser, I reload and I see coin image right here, 10 credits and get more. Okay, I think this is awesome. And I want to test now the functionality. I'm going to type 1 here, 2 here, and hit the calculate. And we have this error, call to undefined method, up user decrease credits. Okay, I think it might be called differently, user PHP. Let's scroll down below. We call this decrease. Okay, it should be decrease credits, right? So I just hit the calculate once again, and now I see result of calculation is 3. We see the number of credits we are decreased by 1, and that's cool. Let's go into feature 2 and provide like 4 and 2 here, hit the calculate. Result of calculation is 2, and the number of credits is now 6. I'm going to try this 2 more times so that I'm going to just run up the credits and let's see what happens. click calculate, and now look at this. So we saw the result, and then this feature got locked. You don't have enough credits for this feature, go buy more credits. This buy more credits is not valid link at the moment, it's going to go to the home page, but you get the idea. We're going to implement that, and this link and this link, the get more link, will do the same thing and open that credit page. But so far this is awesome and this is good. Now let's start working on the credit controller, which will be responsible for purchasing of the credits. PHP artisan make controller credit controller. I'm going to hit the enter. Let's open this credit controller, and this should render the credit index view, which I know I haven't written this, but I know that I'm going to do this. So I'm going to go under resources, JS, pages, and I'm going to create right here credit/index.jsx file. Okay, awesome. Now let's start with the credit controller. Let's define a couple of methods right here. I'm going to define index, which will be for rendering the pricing packages. Then we're going to have buy credits, which is going to be to buy a specific credit, okay, buy a specific package. And here we accept also package. We're going to define rules as well. Then we're going to have the success callback, and this is going to be the Stripe success URL. Whenever the purchase was completed successfully, will be completed successfully, user will be redirected to the success callback. We're going to also have cancel URL, and down below I'm going to also add a webhook for Stripe. Okay, before I proceed right here, I'm going to install Stripe. I'm going to bring up the terminal and execute composer require stripe/stripe-php. So we need this SDK. Stripe PHP package was installed, and then I'm going to open my Stripe dashboard, which is right now in test mode, sandbox mode, and I'm going to get the secret reveal secret test key right here. So, and I'm going to copy this test key, and I am going to put that inside env. Okay, so inside env, let's open right here. And at the very bottom, I'm going to call this Stripe secret key. And I'm going to paste my secret key right here. Now let's open CreditController again and proceed and start rendering packages. So we're going to select all the packages what we have in the database. We're going to select active features, what we have in the database. And then I'm going to render credit index React component, and I'm going to pass packages and features, but I'm going to pass them as resources. Okay, so this you should use resources whenever it's necessary and applicable. Okay, I could not use resources because the actual fields for this package model is very identical to the whatever I'm going to return from this package resource, but I try to encourage you to use resources whenever you are using inertia application with Laravel. I don't want you to get used to some bad practices. That's why I try to always use resources when you have this like a full stack application with inertia where every information passed to React component is actually visible for any user. So we are passing packages and we're passing features. We actually have feature resource already created. We're going to import everything in a moment, but we don't have package resource created yet. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the terminal and I'm going to execute PHP artisan make resource package resource. And I'm going to hit the enter and let's open this package resource. And I'm going to change this into an array. And if we just open package PHP, we have 3 fields right here. And plus we also have this ID. So what I'm going to do is just return, maybe it even auto completes that name. We are gonna have price and we're gonna have credits. Okay, so we have this package resource ready. I'm going to close that and let's continue in the credit controller. Okay, I'm going to import everything at the bottom, at the top, right here. So then we proceed and we move into additional properties. We're going to pass into this credit index. We're going to pass the success message and we're going to pass the error message to this. And the success and error messages will be pushed into session from the success and cancel methods. Okay. Now let's move on and implement this buy credits, which is inside which we're going to create the Stripe session and redirect user to Stripe checkout page. We're going to get this Stripe secret key from en, what we already put right there. We're going to create this Stripe client, and then from the Stripe client, we're going to create checkout session. This function create accepts an array, and inside there we need line items. Line items is array of arrays, and we're going to pass the very first item inside here. We're going to have the price data, and we're going to have quantity 1 for this. Okay, so basically in Stripe, those line items is going to be products. So, and whatever we're going to pass will be actually created in Stripe as product, which we actually don't care because there is something we want to buy. We're going to buy credits, which if it will be product in Stripe, we don't care. But there are certain fields we have to provide, like the currency, product data, for example, and inside product data, we have to provide the name. And inside name, we provide package name concatenated with how many credits that package has. For example, for gold package, this is going to be gold-500 credits. Okay, this is going to be product name. So whenever you check your Stripe dashboard, what items are sold mostly, you might see inside products, gold 500 credits. So, and we're going to also have the unit amount, which is the price, and we're going to have price in cents. So I'm going to multiply package price on 100. At the down below, we're going to have next to the line items, we're going to have mode payment. Okay, and using this, we created the checkout session. We're going to provide also success URL and cancel URL. And those going to be the roles we will define, but we are using this third parameter true for generating absolute URLs. We need those absolute URLs because they will be passed to Stripe. And then the Stripe will redirect us back to the page. So we need them to be absolute URLs. So, and I'm going to also create transaction. Okay, I'm going to provide status pending, the price, package price, credits, package credits. We're going to provide session ID. We're going to provide the authenticated user ID and the package ID as well. Okay, and then we're going to redirect user to this checkout session URL. And basically this method is finished. Okay, let's scroll down below, and in the success, basically we are gonna redirect user to credit index, which will be the following action. Okay, credit index, and I'm going to provide with success message, you have successfully bought new credits. For cancel, we're going to redirect again to credit index. However, we're going to provide error message will be there was an error in payment process. Please try again. Okay, and the next thing is webhook. The Stripe will send requests to us in the background that this checkout process was completed successfully, and then we need to take care of that, and we have to basically do the necessary things like increase the users available credits and so on. So let's proceed here. So we are gonna get the secret. So this endpoint secret is actually necessary to make sure that the webhook is gonna work successfully. Okay, so I have this Stripe webhook key, which we're gonna put inside env. I'm going to open env, and at the moment I'm going to put this right here with empty string, but we're going to populate this a little bit later. Okay, so then we're going to get the entire payload. We're going to get the HTTP Stripe signature header, and by the way, this is also written in the Stripe documentation, and I'm going to fill this part, and then I'm going to show where you can find that. Okay, so I'm going to define the event, which will be null, and then inside I'm going to do try catch. So I'm going to try to construct an event based on the following information. I'm going to pass the payload, entire payload. I'm going to pass the signature header, and I'm going to pass the endpoint secret. So if the event is constructed successfully, it means that the request is coming from Stripe. It's a valid request, and we can get the information from there, and that's awesome, and we need to take care of this properly. Okay, so however, we need catch as well. I'm going to add two catch statements here: unexpected value exception and signature verification exceptions. So, and in both cases, simply I'm going to return with the response 400 status code. And down below, I'm going to check if the event exists. So if the event was created right here, what is the event type? So if the event type is checkout session completed, this is exactly what we are interested in, then we need to do something. So in default case, we simply write received unknown event type. However, in this case, we're going to get this session, and we get this session from event data object. So this is the same session object we created right here, and that session has its own ID, which we saved in the transaction session ID column. So now, based on that session, I am going to select the transaction from the database, the first transaction. If the transaction exists and if its status is pending, I'm checking its status if it's pending because, I don't know, Stripe might send this more than once for me, so I just need to be sure that I don't do any weird and incorrect things if Stripe sent this twice. So if the status is pending, in this case, I set this transaction status to be paid and I save the transaction. But I'm going to also access the transaction user who made the transaction, and I'm going to increase that user's available credits with the transaction number of credits. Whenever we created the transaction right here, we provided how many credits user is trying to buy, and we took that credits and add it to the user's available credits. And finally, we're going to save the transaction user. Okay, this is perfect. And at the bottom of this webhook, we are going to return with the response of empty string, but the status code is 200, and that's going to be totally enough for Stripe. If we return status code 200, this means that we got the webhook and we handled that. Now I am going to open index.jsx and let's work right here. So this is the React component. Actually, we need to import certain things. So let's scroll up and I'm going to do these imports. I'm going to import the feature resource, package resource. I'm going to import this package and feature and transaction. And we also need to import this facade auth because we are using here whenever we are assigning the user ID. I think there's nothing to import except that. So we are good in the credit controller. Now I'm gonna work inside this file credit index, and we're passing these packages and features and success and error, and we need to handle this properly. Okay, so I'm going to define this function, and I'm going to also import all the necessary components. Authenticated layout, I'm going to import the head, and I'm going to create new component for these credit pricing cards. Okay, And there's going to be 3 tiers, one for each package, and I'm going to create separate component for this. Okay, but right now I assume that the component is already there, so I'm going to do this import beforehand. Then I'm going to accept inside the index a couple of properties like auth, packages, and features. And I'm going to also accept success and error. Okay, we are passing these packages, features, success, and error from the credit controller from here. But remember that the auth prop is passed from handle inertia.js request middleware. Okay, then we're going to get the number of available credits for the user, and then we're going to render JS6. So here I'm going to use authenticated layout with user and header. Then I'm going to provide title right here, and down below we're going to have some boilerplate layout code. And if the success is given, then I'm going to render this success message with background green. If the error is given, and if it exists, I'm going to render the error message with background red. Okay, then I'm going to do additional div, and inside there I'm going to have one more div and image with the coin icon. So we have the following coin icon, and I'm going to use the same coin icon. Okay, and inside there I'm going to just write you have X whatever is available credits, and down below I'm going to render these credit pricing cards, and I'm going to pass packages and features to that. Okay, so now we need to create these credit pricing cards, and we're passing these packages data and features data because we are passing them as resources, and the resources resource collection basically has this data. If you want to actually access that, you need to access this through data. Okay, good. Now let's create this, whatever is the name, credit pricing cards component. I'm going to do this right here, .jsx. Now let's define these credit pricing cards, and I'm going to use the page, import that use page from inertia.js React, and I'm going to use that page right here to get the CSRF token. Okay, the CSRF token is something we're going to add inside the middleware, which doesn't exist yet. But we're going to also accept these packages and features we're passing from here, which is totally clear. However, let's add this CSRF token. So I'm going to open handle inertia.js request, and just like we are putting this auth, I'm going to put right here CSRF token will be CSRF token. Okay, I'm going to save that, and we're good. Now I'm going to return a JSX section with some Tailwind CSS classes, div, another div. Inside there I'm going to have this h2. That's going to be promotional text. The more credits you choose, the bigger savings you will make. And before I proceed, I'm going to show you the template I use for this pricing table, which you can also get from Flowbyte. So I use this Flowbyte pricing cards, something like this. Tailwind CSS pricing cards. So this is exactly what I used. I'm going to switch into dark mode, and you're going to see. Okay, so this is the promotional text, which obviously I changed, and we have 3 pricing cards with features. So this is the exact same. I'm using the exact same layout. I actually got the code and I copied that. Okay, I also have these SVG icons in my code. Okay, now let me proceed. You can get this entire HTML and modify as you need, or you can just follow with me and type that HTML content. Okay, then I'm going to define another div and iterate over packages. Okay, and for each package, I'm going to render a div, and for each package, I'm going to render the following div. Okay, and inside there, we're going to have h3, which will be the package name. We're going to have also the package price and the number of credits the package includes. And we're going to also have an unordered list of features. So I'm going to iterate over all the features which is passed to the credit pricing cards. And then I'm going to render li for it and print the feature name. Okay, however, before this feature name, I'm going to also put an SVG, and again, this is the same SVG what is available in the following template right here, this one. Okay, cool. Now, if I scroll down below, I'm going to create form. Okay, so there's this button right here, but only button is not enough. I'm going to have a form and submit that form to the let me close unnecessary files, to this credit controller buy credits, and I'm going to pass the package of which I want to buy. Okay, so once I have the form, the action will be wrote credit buy, and I'm going to provide the package which I want to buy. The row doesn't exist yet, and we're going to create that, no big deal. The method is post, and we're going to do traditional form submission. We are not going to do inertia.js type of form submission. Okay, then inside this form, we're going to have input type hidden with CSRF token. Because we're going to do form submission, we need this CSRF token as well. Okay, and I'm going to have also button with a lot of Tailwind CSS classes. This is the same button. And we have this get started, or whatever we can call this, whatever, like buy more credits. Okay, so I think this part, this component is actually ready, and we are importing this in the credit pricing cards. The only thing what we don't have is rules, these credit buy rules and other rules. So we are going to open web.php and create that rules. I'm going to do this inside right here, this auth and verified. We already have these feature 1 and feature 2 roots. And then at the bottom right here, I'm going to add route to buy credits. And I'm going to provide credit controller index. And let's give it also a name, credit index. Okay. I'm going to define another route for buy credit success, which will be credit controller success, and the route name will be credit success as well. And I'm going to define in the same way cancel route. And I'm going to define a post request for buy credits package. Okay, this is how we're going to redirect to Stripe. This is going to be credit controller buy credits, which is actually the following method. And it has this credit buy, which we are using right here. Okay. So I think this is great, and we are going to also define webhook. Regarding webhook, you should have a few things in your mind. First is that Stripe will make request on webhook with the as an unauthenticated user. So we are not going to put this webhook right here. Okay, we should put this outside of any middleware. We should put this right here. So this is the first thing. Second thing is that we need to disable, and by the way, we need to import this credit controller. So let's just do the import. Here we have that. So the second thing is that Stripe will make the post request on the following webhook URL. And we are going to disable CSRF validation for that specific endpoint. So right now I'm in Laravel 11, and Laravel 11 has done it slightly differently. So we're going to open app.php from Bootstrap folder. Okay, and here we have this middleware, and on that middleware, I am going to execute a method called validate CSRF tokens, and that accepts an accept array. So it's fine. So the validate CSRF token accepts an array, and that's going to be exclude roots, and that's going to be buy dash credits slash webhook. So the CSRF validation should happen besides that root. Okay, once I save this, I want to open now feature JSX, And if you scroll down below, we have the following href, which I'm going to change now into proper root. And it's going to be root credit index. And I'm going to do something similar in authenticated layout. We have the, where is it? Right here we have this slash, and we're going to need root credit.index. So I'm going to save this. And now let's have a look in our browser. Okay, whenever I click this on buy more credits, we have the following error. This credit pricing cards. Okay, that doesn't exist. Where did I create that? Credit pricing cards. Credit pricing cards. Yep, it should be in plural. We call this credits pricing cards, and I should call these, maybe we should even call these packages pricing cards. And let's go into credit index, and I'm going to change this into packages pricing cards. And then we're going to fix the import packages pricing cards. Now let's have a look. I'm going to click this buy more credits, and we are redirected to that page, your credits. Okay, you have 0 credits. The more credits you choose, the bigger savings you will make. And here we see all the plans, the packages, and we see also this calculate sum, calculate difference as separate features. I think this is awesome. Whenever I click on this, we should be redirected to the Stripe page. Okay, we are redirected. This is awesome. And the one last thing is to test the webhook functionality. Okay, so for this, let me open the Stripe dashboard, and inside search, I'm going to search for webhooks. Okay, and we're going to do this local testing. So I'm going to do this add local listener. Whenever I was preparing for this project, I actually added this already, but I'm going to add this once again. Okay, so what we need to do first is to download the CLI from the Stripe. Okay, then we are going to do the Stripe login. Then we're going to do the Stripe forwarding to the local project, and then we're good to go. And on the right side, you can also see that the code which we wrote in the webhook, okay, to get the event and validate, construct the event and validate that, and then do the corresponding things based on the event type. Okay, just make sure that you have this Stripe CLI. So I'm going to click this download CLI, open this in a new tab. Okay, here we have a different operating systems, and I'm going to go to Windows, and we have to download the following file from GitHub. So I'm going to open this in a new tab, and I'm going to search for the following part right there. This is it. This is what I'm going to download. The download is going to start. I'm going to do this inside downloads. So here I have downloaded that zip file. I'm going to extract it that, and inside there we have the Stripe exe. Okay, I'm going to open git bash right here, or you can open cmd and navigate to the following path. The main thing is that you're going to have some terminal. You will need that. So then right here in this terminal, let me zoom in. We are going to log in first of all based on the documentation. So I'm going to close these two tabs. Okay, and we're going to do Stripe login, but because we are on Windows, we're going to execute stripe.exe login. What's that? I think we need /stripe.exe login. Okay, good. Now we're going to click on this to open that Stripe dashboard. It is opening, and from here we need to log in, and it prints the following peering code, joyful, warm, whatever, and we have the same code. So I'm going to click on allow access. Access has been granted. Let's close this. And right here, we can see that we are authenticated and the key will expire in 90 days. And now we can do this forwarding. So I'm going to copy that into clipboard and I'm going to paste this right here. Oops. Now let me copy this and paste here. And we're going to change the port and the webhook URL. So any webhooks sent from Stripe should come from localhost port 8000 /by-credits/webhook. This is the URL on which we handle the webhook. So I'm going to hit the enter right here. Sorry again. So ./stripe.exe. Okay, let's wait for 1 second. And here we see that the connection has been submitted and the webhook signing secret is this. So this is what I am going to copy, this one. And this is what I am going to put inside .env file for the Stripe webhook key right here. Okay, so now I save it and I should have this webhook opened and observing that. And now I'm going to test this functionality. So this is my previously opened page. Let me test if this is still valid. Test at example.com. We're going to provide test Stripe card details. Just make sure you provide any date in the future, any CVC, and let's provide any name here. And I'm going to click on pay and I'm going to open this webhook and let's see. As you can see, the status code returned from our webhook is 200, which means it successfully processed the incoming request and it should have updated the number of credits on the user. So if you open now in the browser, we're going to see that the user has 20 credits and feature 1 and feature 2 both are actually available. Please also keep in mind that whenever you're doing the Stripe checkout process, your computer time needs to be precise. Basically, even 5 minutes out of sync your computer time will cause problems during this checkout. I have this issue personally, that's why I'm telling this to you. Just make sure you have the correct time set on your computer, because then the signature validation inside the webhook simply will fail, okay, and it will not succeed. Okay, that's perfect. So we have now implemented this automatic credit filling functionality, and that's awesome. User can choose any tier they want and they can fill the number of credits right there. Now I'm going to implement the dashboard inside which I'm going to show all the used features the user has basically used. Okay, so let's open now VS Code and I'm going to generate new controller for the dashboard. And I think we don't have dashboard controller, don't we? Let's check these web roads. Yeah, we don't have the controller, dedicated controller for the dashboard. So let's execute PHP artisan make controller dashboard controller. Let's hit the enter. The controller was created. This is awesome. We are going to display used features. Okay, so I will need to also create used feature resource. So I'm going to execute PHP artisan make resource used feature resource. Let's hit the enter. Okay, that was also created. Awesome. And now we're going to write the corresponding fields right here. We're going to populate the dashboard controller, and I'm going to also open dashboard.jsx, and I'm going to render table right here. Like for the table, I'm going to use also table component from this flow byte. So if I search for table right here, we can click on the very first link, and I'm going to show you the UI first. So this is how table looks like. This is Tailwind.css table. The first column basically is in a bold, in a white color, so it has different styles. So if we expand this code and see right here, the first column has different styles. Okay, so I'm gonna basically use the same table. You can copy and paste. I'm gonna quickly write it right here. Okay, awesome. So let's start with the dashboard controller. Where do I have this code? I lost it. Okay, here we go. Let's create index function right here, and inside there I'm going to select used features. I'm going to select this used features with feature because we're going to display the feature name also in the table. Then I'm going to sort them. I'm going to first of all filter them by the currently authenticated user ID, and then I'm going to sort them by created at date. Okay, so I'm selecting all the features for the current user, sorting them latest used feature at the top, and I'm going to also call paginate. So I'm going to get this paginated response, and then I'm going to render the dashboard.jsx component, and I'm going to pass these used features as a used feature resource collection. Okay, so awesome. Let's go into, let's actually import, we're going to import the used feature resource, and we're going to need the used feature as well. And I think we're going to need to import inertia as well right here. Now let's go into used feature resource, and we are going to return ID. We're going to return credits. We're going to return this feature, which is relation to the feature object, and we're going to pass this into new feature resource. And then this feature will be an instance of new feature resource. And we're going to return created date, but we're going to format this nicely into our own format. And we're going to return the entire data as well, which will be extra information used for this feature. Now let's go into dashboard.jsx. And first of all, I'm going to use, take this prop used features, which we are passing from here. Okay, so we need that used features. Then I'm going to delete that part completely. And I'm going to use the template I mentioned for this table. Okay, so we're going to need this position relative overflow x auto, what we have right here. Inside there, we're going to have table. I'm going to add some Tailwind.css classes to this table. Inside there, we're going to have t-head with Tailwind.css classes again. Inside there, we're going to have tr and th. Couple of ths. First will be feature. Second will be credits. Then we're going to have date. And finally, we're going to have additional data. Down below, we're going to have t-body as well. And we're going to iterate over used features data. Okay, this used features is an instance of a collection, so we're gonna take data out of it and then iterate over the data using map function, and we're gonna use that used feature variable to render TRs. So inside each TR, we're gonna add key, we're gonna add Tailwind.css classes to each TR, and then we're gonna display the first element of this TR basically will be th. Okay, this will be in a different color as it is written right here. So the th will have its own different Tailwind.css classes, and then we're going to display the used feature dot feature, which is a relation to feature dot name. After th, we're going to display a used feature number of credits. We're going to display used feature created at, and then we're going to display used feature dot data. So those are all the properties which we returned inside our resource. Okay, and down below, I'm going to do one check if the used feature data length does not exist, which means that if the user doesn't have any features used yet, I'm going to display another tr, and inside the tr, we're going to have td with the call span 4. Basically, I'm going to combine all the 4 columns with the text center and padding, and inside there I'm going to display you don't have used any features yet. Okay, that's going to be for new users. Now I'm going to save this. Let's open web.php. I'm going to remove this function and I'm going to replace this with dashboard controller index. Just make sure we have the dashboard controller imported right here. This is awesome. We have that. Now, if I save this, actually, because we need the same middleware in the dashboard controller, maybe we can just remove middleware from here, and maybe we can just take this out and insert this group with auth and verified middleware. I'm going to paste this right here, and let's move this name down below. Okay, cool. Now let's open dashboard and have a look. Here we see the table. So here we see the feature name, calculate difference, we see sum, whatever, number of credits, the feature required at the time, the date when it was used, but we don't see anything inside additional data. That's strange. Let's go into dashboard.jsx and have a look. We have this used feature data. Let's actually print entire used feature using JSON stringify, and I'm going to print the entire used feature. Let's see what we have here. We have ID, we have the feature, we have created it, but the data is null. Now let's check the database. What is data there? Okay, so let's access the database using Tinker. App models, excuse me. So app models used feature, let's get all. Okay, the data is null in the database for all of them. Okay, why is this null? Don't we save it? Or maybe there's some issue when selecting the data. I'm gonna open used feature class, and here we have this cast into data array. I think the reason is that we don't have data inside fillable, but we are actually filling that right here through this used feature create. So we just need to put data right here. Let's save this and let's test the functionality. So I'm going to open feature 1, provide two numbers, hit on calculate. That was calculated. Let's go into dashboard, and here we see data which contains number 1 and number 2. Let's go into dashboard.jsx and let's undo right here and just print feature.data, and we have error. Actually, that's strange. What error do we have? Let's see. Okay, I see what error do we have. So the used feature data is actually an array. In order us to be able to print that nicely, we need to use JSON stringify. Again, you can render these data as you like. Okay, you can iterate over the keys of that used feature data and render it. If it contains like processed image paths, you can obviously render images, or you can add additional link. Let me reload the page and close these developer tools. You can also put additional link to view details of the specific feature, and if that additional data contains image paths, you can display that images inside details page. Okay, so just the main idea is that we have all the information about how the user used a specific feature, what data was provided. We can even save a result right here. You can easily do this in the feature 1 controller. Let's open this and give you a hint. So you can calculate some of these two numbers at the top of this used feature create function, and you can put this in the result variable, and you can put that result into data as well and pass the result right here. So you can put the actual result of the feature inside data and save this in the database as well. It's up to you how you're going to decide. But we have the dashboard which displays all that information. We don't have the pagination. I'm not going to implement the pagination, but you have everything what you need. If you see what is these used features right here, it basically is an object which contains, let me stringify this for you. So it contains data which we already iterated, but it contains also additional information such as where it is. It contains some meta information, and that meta contains what is the current page from to. It contains all the pagination links. Okay, you just need to iterate over those meta links and render them nicely. I'm just going to provide right here undefined and 2, and now we have this much more nicely rendered. Actually, if you want to see how to implement the pagination as well, you can check my other projects with Laravel and React. I have a couple of projects already, and those include the pagination part as well, but it's pretty straightforward. That's why I'm not going to spend more time on this specific feature. Let me remove this pre right now, and we're going to have this table remaining. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the home page, which right now displays this updated Laravel 11 homepage, and instead I'm going to display cards, like similar to this Laracasts card, and I'm going to display one card for each feature. And for this, I'm going to create a new controller for the homepage, and I'm going to also update the root right here. Instead of this, I'm going to render those features. Okay, I'm going to close every other tab, and I'm going to create now a new controller, home controller, PHP artisan make controller home controller. Let's hit the enter. Let's open the home controller, and right here I'm going to define index function, and inside there I'm going to do the following. First of all, I'm going to select all the features, not all, but I'm going to select only active features. If the feature is disabled, we don't want it to be displayed on the home page. Then I'm going to use this inertia render, rendering the welcome JSX component, and we're going to pass these features through this feature resource collection, but we're going to also pass two additional variables which are by itself passed from here, which comes with the Laravel's default installation, can login and can register. So we're going to pass those two variables as well. However, we don't need this Laravel version and PHP version, and I'm going to remove them. So right here, we're going to pass can login and can register. Okay, and at the top, let's import, we need feature resource, we need feature model, we need this root facade, and we also need inertia class to render this welcome JSX. Okay, let's go into web PHP, and I'm going to remove this function, and I'm going to change this into home controller class index name home. Okay, and right here we don't need inertia and we don't need application, so I can remove them already. And we need to open welcome JSX. So right now the Laravel Go to View extension refers to blade file. If I control and click on this, it's going to open the blade file, excuse me. But we don't need this blade file. What we want is JSX file. So I'm going to open welcome JSX. And I'm going to work right here. If you scroll down below and analyze this a little bit. So this is again updated welcome JSX file, which is in the latest Laravel version. So here we have this image, which I think is the background image, which we can actually leave. Let's open this. Yeah, we can leave that. Then we have this div, the main div. Inside there, we have another div. Inside there we have this header section. We're going to leave that header section, and inside there we have one div for the Laravel official documentation, then another div which is going to be for Laracast, another one, and 4 divs. Basically there are still 4 divs like it was previously, but just the layout is slightly different. This one will have some row span or something like this. Okay, now let me remove the first documentation div, and if we check right now the home page, we don't see this documentation div anymore. Okay, and I'm gonna delete others as well, and what I'm going to do is we just left only one, okay, which is perfectly fine. We can remove this footer as well because we don't pass this Laravel version and PHP version as well. So I'm going to remove this from footer as well. We can leave this logo or we can remove, it's up to us, but we are going to accept, let's remove these props. We are going to accept features as prop, and these features we're going to render right here. So features.data.map, we're going to get feature, and for each feature we're going to render the following a tag. So I'm going to save this. I just saved and it was formatted nicely. Let me collapse this. And if we check right now on the home page, we're going to see two identical divs because we have two features actually, and we are rendering two divs right here. Now let's adjust the image and adjust this href as well. So this is actually a tag, but I'm going to change this into link. Okay, and we need to import that link right here inside this inertia.js React, which is already imported. Next, we need to provide right here feature.root name. Okay. Now, whenever we click on this, it will have, if I mouse over, you're going to see in the bottom left corner the URL. So it is feature1.index. So that should be, we're going to use root and pass this feature root name to that. So now we see feature1 as a URL and feature2 as a URL right here. Okay, let's scroll down below, and here we have this SVG, which is, I think, the logo, not the logo, but the actual icon. So instead of that SVG, I'm thinking about putting an image right here because we have images for each feature. So image, and inside source, I'm going to provide feature.image. That's going to be probably large image. Oh no, it is actually perfectly fine. So this is the feature image for the calculate sum. This is for the calculate difference. And let's finalize this right now. So we're going to output feature.name right here. And here we're going to output feature.description. So down below we have this SVG path, something which we can leave. This is, I think, this arrow. So now we have two features on the home page: calculate sum, which opens this feature, go back, and calculate difference, which opens the feature 2. And I think this finalizes our project. We have this nice homepage where we list and show all the features. Again, you obviously need to implement more complex and sophisticated features, something people worth to pay some money for it. You can put them on your homepage. Then on the dashboard, user can see the used features. We have the feature pages itself. And whenever user runs out with its credit, they can buy the predefined package with the following price and the following number of credits. This is awesome project. And we also have this Laravel Bridge profile management right here. All right, that's it, my friends, and I hope you learned something new. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you are not yet for more videos like this. Also, let me know your thoughts about this project in the comment section down below. If you want to support the channel, you can check my website, thecodeholic.com. You can buy my course, or you can check my Patreon page as well. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your comments, your likes, your love simply, and I will see you in another video.